Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Mary Oliver out of the summer day. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and dive into it. Welcome back to another episode of the Seeds of Success podcast. This is your host, Colin Walters, and it's one of my favorite quotes of all time. And so I just wanted to start off the episode with that. It's in no correlation. Well, at this point in time, no correlation to what we're going to talk about, which is getting into some of my personal career and how this can be applicable to you, your life, and decisions that you make in your life moving forward, especially when they're, big, like potentially life altering decisions. And so I just want to come straight out and say that I turned down a leadership opportunity at my company recently. And this is now the second leadership role that I have been offered that I have turned down over my career. And for those that don't know, just to quickly catch you up to speed, I work in software sales as a strategic account executive for a company called Recast Software. At the time of this recording, it is currently the 19th of January, 2025. And I've worked in tech sales for give it the last 7-ish years or so, 6, 7 years, something like that. Been in sales. I would say been in sales for about the last decade in some avenue or another. Love sales, love being a seller, love helping people, love feeling like I'm adding value and being helpful to other individuals. And then on the back end, getting compensated for that. So that is my role. That's my career. That's my profession. That's what I do. And a couple, maybe like 5 years ago or so, I was an SDR at the time, a sales development representative, which is essentially responsible for booking meetings for sellers, right? So booking meetings for account executives like I am right now. And so ultimately that role is pound the phones, do a ton of outbound, be creative in your outreach, and get prospective clients, get prospects to say yes to meetings, and then get them to show up. And then hopefully you have the opportunity to influence an opportunity. It's kind of the idea. I did very well and exceeded all expectations, exceeded all goals, and hit quotas and everything. And so then I was, SDR of the year at a company called Nintex when I was there. And so then they offered me a role to take over and manage the SDR team. At that point in time, and I thought about this, for at length. I think like a very minimum, like 2 weeks, I thought about this, and I had like a 2 to 3 week window to make a decision, and I thought about it. Do I think that leadership and management is something that ultimately I would like to do? Probably. I think so. Do I think that I would be good at it? Yeah, I really do. I've coached baseball for 8 years. I've always loved when I do mentoring for other SDRs or other AEs, or I'm currently responsible for like an AE mentor level up program right now in my current role. And ultimately, yeah, I can totally see myself in a leadership and management role. That being said, at that point in time, it was not what I wanted. I had my goals, I had my direction, and I had my aspirations to not be the leader and manager of the SDR team, but I wanted to be the leader and the manager and the VP and like run, like teach sellers how to sell. And ultimately, that wasn't the logical, that was not the step for me in order to get to my ultimate goals at that point in time. Right there. And so I turned that down because although it was exciting, although I had other mentors telling me you should take a leadership role when you get offered it, it didn't feel right. And it wasn't right for me at that time. And it wasn't what I wanted. And so I just want to encourage you that you can say no, and that is okay when it is not in alignment with what you have your eyes set on as your ultimate prize, or if something just doesn't feel right. Like you don't have to know exactly what you want. Like that is what I thought I wanted at that time, and that's where I was going. Like ultimately, I just wanted to sell. Like I wanted to become an account executive, and I felt like I would have been settling, and I would have been selling myself short of what I was trying to do because I was trying to get promoted to become an account executive, and then I wanted to go crush that. Like I just always had this knack for wanting to sell. I always knew that I would be a great seller. And so that's what I was after. And then in order to even have a glimpse of a hope to be VP of sales, CRO, managing teams, teaching sellers how to sell, you got to sell. And you need years and years of experience doing that, in my opinion, in order to develop the skills and, cutting your teeth and actually knowing and teaching from experience, right? Like I cannot tell you how many calls and cold calls and, just work in the dirt that I've done over the years, like tens of thousands of calls, easily tens of thousands of calls, if probably over 100,000 calls in my life, I would say. And so that being said, fast forward 5 years, here we are. I just finished my first year at Recast and did very well. I ended up as the number 3 overall account executive on our team. Take out a pretty massive deal from the top rep, and that would have slotted me into the second number 2 AE overall, and I got passed in that spot on the very last day of the fiscal year by a buddy who closed a massive deal. So, I feel like I did very well, especially with having no opportunities that I was currently working going into that last year and going through a 3-month ramp period. And so, I feel like I had a successful year in my eyes, and I believe in my company's eyes as well. And so, come December timeframe, and here we are. They asked me if I wanted to run and lead a team. And it was another one of those where it amazing opportunity for a lot of individuals in my shoes. I might highly suggest that they actually take the role depending on, again, what their goals and vision are for their life and where they, how they want to be challenged at this point in their career. And I thought about it for a couple of days. We had a pretty short window to make a decision. So I thought about it for a couple of days, and it just once again was not in alignment with what I personally wanted at this point in time for my career. I feel like I have a ton of momentum currently. I'm working a lot of deals that I am expecting and planning and working to close as we speak. Just closed a couple last week. And so I just feel like I now had built momentum to go into this year. And that's not to say that you can't just, uproot that and go take this if it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And this is like something that you do not want to miss out on. Right. But I would caution you that it is leadership and it is management. And so that can be, a very exciting thing. And it was, and it was honestly, it was an honor to be asked for this role. And I don't take that lightly at all. And so I gave it the thought and, the critique that I truly needed. Like I went deep, took, things to paper, went on walks, like thought about it, talked about it with family, friends, leadership. Right. And at the bottom of the, end of the day, I didn't want it to be this like shiny object syndrome where it was like, a pay raise and a title raise, and it looked good on paper and it looked good on LinkedIn and resume. And don't get me wrong, like it would have been phenomenal experience. And the other leaders in our company, like that is the first thing I'm going to look at is who is helping to train and coach and teach me their ways. And can't speak highly enough about everybody that I, would have been around and learning from and interacting with on a day-to-day and weekly basis. That being said, it still wasn't right for me at this point in time with where my life is and where I wanted to go in this near term, which is just continuing to learn and close and be the very best account executive and seller that I can be and continue leveling up my game as a strategic account executive and sales rep and just having fun now coming into a new year with momentum, with deals in the pipeline, and with, and I think it's super cool because I said no. And there almost was like an empowerment to myself in thinking through this very strategically and thinking through this critically, making a decision that I felt was best for myself at this point in time, knowing that if I do want to pursue the leadership route and management route, I can make that happen in the future. That I am very certain about. Is that the route I want to go right now? I'm still not 100% certain. I think so, maybe at some point in the future. Right now, just did not feel like the time. And it's okay to listen to that gut and to listen to that intuition, along with some of the logic and the rationale behind it, right? When we're talking career, I think that there's a nice combination of logic and data and intuition that comes into play. And so I turned it down, and then a week later get asked to actually run a mentorship program for AEs who had just been promoted from SDR to AE. And that was like the perfect silver lining, right? And the perfect in between. Because also that's the type of leadership that we have at the company, is then thinking outside the box of how else, because I did express like any sort of leadership opportunities, I'm 100% open and willing to do. Like they asked me to run some different sales playbooks, and I created some campaigns and ran some programs last year and did some training. So there's like always different pockets of opportunities to continue building those leadership and management skills. And so if I were you, like continue looking out for those things as well. And when you have ideas, present them, bring them up, right? And make a case for yourself to showcase your leadership opportunities and build opportunities for yourself that make sense to the company, to the business, to the leadership team, to your customers, and to yourself, right? So there's all these different little pockets of opportunity as well. So just be that is where I'm a 100%, let's say yes and do this. And this is awesome experience for myself. This is great experience for, being able to build campaigns and playbooks and just, things that go along with the leadership in the future. It also just challenges you to grow and level up and think critically and think differently and think out of your, day-to-day norm of activities and things that you are responsible for. And yeah, it's going to be extra work, and it's going to be, extra effort on your part, and going in the extra mile, and, having to still be responsible for, what you are paid to do, which in my shoes is close deals. And so, but I am like always open to those opportunities as well. So anyways, I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to say, you have every right to say no when things are not in alignment with your own goals and your own vision. And that's not to say, I would encourage you, take a step back and analyze. It was also like a super nice vantage point for my life. Like I stepped out of my day to day and, got off the ladder, so to speak, and just, planted myself on this plateau, 30,000 feet above, and just like full outlook on, okay, where am I at? Kind of like the question of, if you were the actor in your own life right now, which you are, what is the audience screaming at you to do? I know we've talked about that question in the past on a previous episode. And so, that was just another opportunity to use a question like that and to really just get a vantage point on where's my life at, where do I want it to go from a career standpoint right now. So anyways, trust yourself. It's okay to say no. It's also okay to say yes. Like if that is the perfect opportunity for you, it is 100,000% okay. And I would encourage you to say yes if that's something that you've been working towards and you've been wanting to get into leadership, or that next opportunity, whatever that is for you. And talk to people about it. Also, talk to your family who know you, talk to your friends that know you, talk to mentors that, are in business or have experience in this realm. Talk to them about it. They're kind of a neutral party in that standpoint, but don't feel obligated to anything. It's your life. It's your decision. It's wherever you want to take it. It's your vision, right? And so just stick to you, listen to your gut, your intuitions, go on a walk and think about it, get some fresh air, go on a drive, like take things pen to paper. These are all things that I did in order to get clarity that I needed to make these decisions. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and leave things right there. And so if you're in a similar position, congratulations also, because what an honor. What an honor to be asked for a role like this, to be thought of in high regard. And if this isn't you yet, but it's coming, like congratulations on the near future or whenever this opportunity is. Or if you don't have it, go create one for yourself if that is what you want, right? Go seek what you want. Knock and the door shall be open unto you. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Seeds of Success podcast. This is your host, Colin Walters, and we're going to circle back to that first quote on how we started, which is, tell me, what is it that you plan to do with this one wild and precious life? See you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Seeds of Success podcast. If you got to the end of this episode, can you please do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star rating and review? This helps me be able to reach out to bigger guests and also be able to get access to special events and activities that otherwise would not be possible without your support. So if you could please take just 3 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and review, it would mean the world to me, and I will see you on the next episode.